Alright. Hi everyone, welcome back to Katarina's Garage. My name is Katarina Lloyd, and we're back at our favorite place, IPull-uPull again. So we're going to check out some of the vehicles that are here, like we normally do. I didn't bring any of my tools, so I'm not going to be pulling anything, I don't think. Now they do have some tools inside, but I also want to check out the Ford that I pulled some parts off of before and see what's up with it. But anyway, let's go take a look. So first up, we have a Lada Neva. Now these are kind of rare to see nowadays, although they were semi-popular back in the day. To be honest, the Lada Neva, this one says it's a 98, which would have been so this would have been a gray market import then, I would think. Or, well, actually no, gray market, that came in the 80s, to be fair. But these things were a pretty awesome little off-roader. Now, the only thing about these is that they didn't run all that good usually. And not only that, but then also they kind of sound like a tractor actually when running. I only know this because, well, I've seen these things run and whatever else, but when they do run, they're fantastic and one of the ultimate off-roaders. But it is a Lada, so you have to take that into consideration. And considering underneath this, I know that the Riva that was sold over here was a Fiat 124. I don't know if this is Fiat based or not, or if it's like that same thing, just like, you know, jacked up 4x4, that sort of thing. I'm not too sure, but they're cool though. I've always liked them. Now it's interesting, so they've moved stuff around, and actually it's a lot cleaner in here. Like, I mean, obviously still a bit messy, but the antiques also always used to be right here, but they've moved them to over here, which is kind of neat, honestly, to see all the stuff over here now. So I do wonder if they just moved everything, or if there is actually some stuff that, you know, was destroyed potentially. And oh, I don't remember seeing this bump side in here, or maybe I did last time I was here, but bear in mind, last time I was here I was pulling parts and stuff, right? So this time I'm just kind of looking around, and it's just very cool to see these. So these were the bump side Fords were 67, 68 to 72, something like that. This one happens to be 72. There you go. And they actually have the exact date and time it was put into the yard. That's pretty cool. You know, this one being an 8 lug would have been an F250 or even an F350 maybe. But, you know, that's kind of how that goes. Take a look inside. Like, there's still a decent bit of usable parts. You know, the heater controls, all that different stuff. Oh, it does have a power booster for the Sparkle-matic. That's kind of neat. Gauge cluster is gone. You know, got a you know, armrest here. There's a door panel, which is just a piece of metal. You know, it's not like on the later ones, like the dent sides, where they actually went to plastic panels. I'd prefer if they were metal panels like that, because then they wouldn't like crack or anything. Like mine are destroyed. So, and this has a, you know, fifth wheel in the back and all that stuff. Oh yeah, hood's still there. You know, a couple other things. It's pretty cool actually. You know, next to it, this is the Etzel, isn't it? Etzel Ranger that they brought in. I love that it just says 57 Ford. You know, but you just don't see these too often. Right now, this one's been pretty stripped, but it's pretty darn cool, honestly. And I'm a big fan of these. They didn't catch on till much later, to be honest. It's kind of sad, but they are pretty neat, though. They're finally starting to get a little popular again. You know, here we have either a Biscayne or a Impala, but it's been pretty darn stripped. Like, somebody cut out, you know, patch panels for themselves. And then they actually cut the door skin off for their project. And that's the beauty, right? Because sometimes all you need is a bit of metal, and they will sell you that. You know, here, there's a transmission in the back here. You know, and just, that's what I love about this place. And the service you get here is incredible, honestly, for IPull-uPull. There's a reason why I keep coming back. You know, and yeah, I love this thing. It's like a 68 or so, Biscayne or Impala. Absolutely love it. This would be super comfy going on the road. This old International, frick, it's hurting really bad. But, you know, and then this is a convertible Skylark, which, yeah, this was over there before. I did catch this one. Just trying to remember everything, right? And, you know, you have like an old Volvo 240 here. Oh, God. Which, actually, interesting. So this brings back memories for me because my dad actually had one of these growing up. The Volvo 240. Now, I don't know if it was quite this early, though, with that front end. I think it was slightly later, like a 73 or 74, maybe. I don't know exactly what year this one is, but this one looks a little earlier with that. But my dad had all these grandiose plans of doing a small block Chevy swap and stuff like that, making a sleeper like everybody did with these Volvos back in the day. Okay, now this would be kind of annoying, actually. So, you're sitting over there, driver's seat, right? Your radio's all the way over here. Like, you'd have to really reach for that. So, and then that's actually interesting to see the dials and stuff like that. Yeah, so my dad's was definitely a little bit later than this one. Whatever year this one is. What year? They say this one's a 71, yeah, because I remember it being different. And I still remember the smell of that thing. It was very musty and whatever else, but it had a unique scent to it. You know, but welcome to Swedish cars, right? Now, they were trying to sell this thing, I'm pretty sure, for the longest time. If this is the same one, or this might be a different one, but it kind of looks like this might be the same one, but maybe it's not. This is a Volkswagen bus, you know, and it's pretty, it's actually a Westfalia, too, because of the high top. But it's going to have a 1700cc motor, I believe, you know, a little flat four back here. 2-barrel carb, all that different stuff. Good for about 40 horsepower. A lot of fun, but these things are very, very popular, and people go nuts for these things. You can, like, and then especially with, like, the earlier ones are split window with all the windows up here and stuff. Those are the very high dollar ones. These ones, not as much, but they can still fetch a decent penny, though, when they are nice. All right, venturing off into Trucklandia, check this out. So this is like an 85-ish Ram Prospector edition, which that was just like a trim package that these had. They would have had a slightly different interior and stuff like that. Motor's gone, so probably was a 360, I'm gonna guess. There you go, 84. I was 1 year off. You know, a decent bench seat, little tour here, but not bad, honestly. Got a nice, like I said, these are a little more up trimmed, being the Prospector. And these seats, oh, you can just feel, that is all right. And actually, that is pretty much unbolted out of there. So somebody can take that very easily. You got your, the wooden gauge surround. There you go. That's pimping. We actually did that to my dad's truck because my dad had an 81 of these, and we ended up finding a nice wooden surround for it for his. And this one had AC, so it's a little different of a dash. Not much though. Very cool. Very cool. And honestly, like, you don't know what you're gonna find in here and what people will actually scrap, because this thing doesn't look terrible. Like, yeah, it has some rust. Yeah, it's a little beat up. But who knows? I mean, the transmission may have piled up. The engine may have blown up. You know, they may have just had no use for it. It's really hard to say what happened with this truck. But they don't have, like, a ton of value, to be fair. So, although it's got a nice little brush guard on it. So, a little bit bent, to be fair. So, you might not want that. But maybe you do. I don't know. Maybe you don't care. It's here. With the bed rails that are a little whoop-de-doo. I need bed rails for my truck. So, at some point, maybe. We'll see. And then down here, we have this is a dually as well. This is a dually tin grill. Oh, that is a unicorn to find around. Extended cab. It's a 1975 D30. Oh, man. This would have had a nice little headliner in it, too. And this is kind of a shame that's in here, honestly. It's cool, but shame. Okay, this would have had, is that for propane? No, that's something else. I'm not exactly sure what that is, actually, to be honest. You know, got actually pretty decent tires on it. Ah, well, at least it kind of spins, sort of. Damn. You know, and these tin grills were made from, when was that, 71 to 1980. 81 they changed to that other style I was showing earlier. But they had a different grill, although a lot of Bondo in this one. It's still kind of a shame it's in here, because it's actually not in that bad a shape in the grand scheme of things. But this would have had a big block under the hood guaranteed. Like, this would have been like a 440, more than likely. Ah, it was on propane. This is a propane unit. So, okay, gotcha. Damn, this thing's still pretty complete. So, this is one to keep an eye out on if you need parts. Now, y'all might recall when I was actually attempting to pull the exhaust manifold off of this. I just want to see if it's any further down or not. Doesn't really look like it, to be honest. I know that Ron, which is a buddy of mine, Shortcut Garage here on YouTube, go subscribe to him if you haven't, actually. He comes here all the time. He was trying to pull it off for me as well, and he couldn't get it off because he just didn't have the right tools on him, so, which sucks, but because these have an awesome dual exhaust manifold from the factory for the 300, so all these OBS Fords had that, and any of the EFI 300s would have that. So it's just an easy way to do a nice dual exhaust on your truck, you know? It's just taking one of these off, but they're kind of a pain, honestly. Where mine, it's nice and easy to access the bolts. Here, not so much. You know, I pulled all these off, right, for the intake, hoping to get the intake plenum off, but that was not going to be the case, so it's just kind of sad. And, like, this is a Ford 300, which obviously one of the greatest engines ever made. Honestly, timing gear instead of, you know, belt or chain. Now, this being a later one, this is going to have the phenolic gears in it. Less have been swapped to cast gears, so they're a bit of a weak point, though. I will say that. But the thing is, when the timing gears go, it doesn't hurt the motor. These are not an interference engine, so it's just a pain in the butt because you got to tear apart the entire front of the engine, and yeah, it's a lot of work. But worth it for anybody that needs a 300. It's right there. That's the 4th tin grill I've seen in here. Or third tin grill I've seen, because there's a lot of these in the junkyard, which is kind of sad. These are finally starting to be more collectible. I'm pretty sure this is a tin grill. What year did they say this one is? Yeah, 78, yeah. I was going to say, looking at the body, kind of looked like one. So, this one, well, that's not the original motor, I can tell you that. Because that is an EFI motor. So, I don't know who threw this in there, but, and even overhead cam, look at that. With, what? I don't know what this engine is that's in here, but somebody threw it in there after they were done. And then realized they didn't want it, I guess. And then just threw it in here instead to make it a bit of a pain in the ass for anybody else. They do have engine cranes around, though. And they'll actually lift up entire trucks. I've done that before. So to work on stuff, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. Damn. So this is the truck that I was gonna go grab potentially some stuff off of, but the front clip is gone. Somebody took all that, which I'm not overly surprised. They have the headlights though, which these headlights look to be half decent, but I wanted the entire bucket, right? That's a shame. Oh well. You know, nice tow mirror if you need one. I actually have this door, which to be fair, it was a lot rustier than I anticipated. Once I pulled it, it's like, oh, this is a bit worse. So for wear, so I said screw it. Yeah, this thing doesn't have anything else I need, I don't think, although it does have the seat belts. I want to look at that. Or, well, it has one seat belt, the passenger side is gone, but let's take a look at the driver's side here and just see how easy or difficult it is actually to get these out, because yeah, oh, they cut that, never mind. And there's a screw in that. Yeah, that's junk. Okay, because I want to get actually some seat belts for that are mounted up here for when I do the seat swap in my truck. But yeah, and somebody was trying to take the they had it basically out, but they couldn't quite get it all the way. Which I understand that, because there is a little rod in there. That's sad, because that's actually a good piece. But Yeah, and there was, because before I actually knew how serious this deck was, I was considering putting this on my truck, but yeah, no, that's way too much. Way too heavy duty. This thing would weigh, I don't know, a couple thousand pounds probably. So yeah, it's kind of sad because this truck being a 77, this was, I think, the Explorer package, which would have had all the updated trim and much nicer looking truck actually, but it's unfortunate. Because like I said, I was hoping that they were going to be here, but they were not. So, oh well, that is what it is. And see those cranes I was telling you about? There's one of them. These things will pull just basically anything, honestly, and they're very easy to use, and they're just kind of annoying to roll around the yard on your own, but I've done it more than once. Yeah, and there's two more of these bump sides in here. This one's pretty stripped. This one's getting there. Although it's interesting to see this. That looks like it was pulled from either like a 200 or a 300, more than likely, because they do have a rocker shaft on the Ford 200 inline 6 and the 300 inline 6. So kind of interesting to see that, to be honest, just sitting on top there. So that would go actually, so, well, case in point, I mean, actually this has that too. I guess it's from here, to be fair. So it's not actually from that, to be fair, because also it's a little smaller. And, well, somebody was trying to take this carb apart. Ah, they just stole the guts out of this carb. That's what they did. You know, this is a good old lean burn carb, I think. Yep. Or, well, not lean burn per se. That's a Ford thing. Or Dodge. Braid no worky. But it's pretty cool though. I like it. I like it. Yeah, sorry. I'm out of it. Alright, as we continue on here. I'm getting really tired all of a sudden, but I mean, I didn't get a ton of sleep last night, so here we have a square body Chevy, or GMC, but yeah, whatever. This is a 70s one because they're not squared off lights, right? So up to 79 for that. 1980 they swapped to these square seal beams. Okay, it's not an 89. Or if it is an 89, they swap the front end on it. So, that's one thing. I can't tell these square bodies apart from year to year. Like I know that there's people that can, but it's not my forte, to be honest. I do like these trucks, but they're too expensive for my taste. Like, people want an insane amount of money for these things nowadays, when I can go get a dense side like I've got for a lot cheaper, so why not? See, and this is what I'm more used to seeing, right? Is, you know, not a rocker shaft, but just pedestal with the push rod right there. Check it out. We have a T-Bird, the last of the cool T-Birds in my opinion. Oh, no. I was wrong. That's not a T-Bird. It's a Cougar. From a distance, it kind of looks like a T-Bird, but then coming up on it, realized, nope, that is a Cougar. So this is the MN12 platform Cougar. They existed from 1989 to 94, I think. Something like that with this style. I mean, and what's nice is, you know, you've got an independent rear suspension in this puppy. You know, with rear discs, all that different stuff. These are so comfortable going down the road. This one happens to be an 89, so it's like the first year. And because prior to that, they were actually on the Fox body platform. But they're very cool. Now this, depending, I'm curious what's underneath the hood. Because I'm assuming it's a 3.8, but because I didn't see that it said XR7 or anything like that. Well, it's gone, what it was, but it was, yeah, 3.8. Okay. I do wonder if it was a supercharged one or not. Oh, that's cool. Because you could actually get the 3.8 supercharged in these as well. It wasn't just the Thunderbird Super Coupes. And they never put that motor in the Mustang for some reason. It would have been kind of cool, but they just decided, nope, we're just going to go with the 4-banger and V8 only after 1986. So 86 was the final year you can actually get a 3.8 in the Mustang until 94. Hey, look, an 81 LTD. So what's interesting is, although they say 81, but I don't think this actually is, because this doesn't look like the Fox body one. This looks a little bit after that, because the LTD in these years was on the Fox platform. They looked a lot different than this. So I think they just have this mislabeled, but sometimes their computer will tell them differently than what they actually are. At times I have noticed that, but yeah, this is like an 83 or 84 is my guess. But, or maybe even earlier than that. But the thing is, because in 1980, they actually downsized the LTD to the Fox body platform, and they looked pretty weird. Well, case in point, here you go. So this is a 86 Mercury Marquee. Not the Grand Marquee, just the Marquee, which was on at least the Fox platform for a little bit, the same as the LTD, but you notice that this is much smaller than the LTD next to it. Because these should be similar styling and about the same, but they're not. If that was actually an 81, so. But the thing is, you don't see these all that often, and they were like just like a nice comfy car, you know, go down the road with. Obviously, you can fit your family in, all that different stuff. They were all right. Pretty cool to see, though. Kind of sad it's in the junkyard, but... is it a 302? Nope, 3.8. V6. Alright, check this out. So, found a Fox body in the yard. I was just speaking with Andrew over there, and look at that! That is the factory map light for one of these. Something you don't see too often. But, they're actually kind of hard to find nowadays, but, you know, in this thing, like, it's got okay seats in it. The seat belts look to be actually not that great, to be honest. The tensioner doesn't, well, actually, the tensioner does work. They're okay, but honestly, it's got a tilt column in it, all the different stuff, you know? There's lots of different parts you can take off this one. The doors aren't amazing, but they're not horrible, actually. You know, like... they're workable for sure, if anybody needed Fox body doors and stuff. Still has all the glass and stuff like that, so got a couple of 10 holes here. And one thing is, opener diff. Oh well. But yeah, little 2.3 under the hood. You know, doesn't make a lot of power, but they were a good little economy engine, so pretty neat. And oh, there is a Lincoln Mark 7 over here. This is not the same car, is it? I need to see what year this is. No, this one's a little more... okay, this is an 88. Okay, it's not the same car. It's going to be like, wait a minute. An 88 Lincoln Mark 7. No way. How bad are these seats? Oh, they're pretty trash. Damn. I was going to say, if these seats weren't that bad, I might try and take them for my truck, but they're pretty trash, so... the passenger one's okay, but the driver's seat, not so great. It only had 179,000 kilometers on it. And this being the LSE is the Lincoln Sport Coupe. So this was their... this would have had the couple of more upgrades in the interior and stuff like that. It would have had those seats as an example with the big bolstering on them and stuff to help keep your ass planted around turns. This would have had a full air suspension, and you can see... let's see. Does this still have the air suspension back here? Nope, it's been pulled. But then the big question is, open rear end. Wah. Because this would actually have an 88 in it. So if you needed an 88, but that's just an open, there you go. It's right here. I love these cars, and I'd love to own one. I had one that was a factory turbo diesel, but that didn't really last because it needed way too much work, so... it's pretty complete, though, if anybody needs it. And it's actually kind of cool, because these grills, they push it in like that. So just in case you get into a parking lot ding, it's not supposed to damage your grill. These are like my favorite of the Fox bodies, genuinely. But, who knows? Someday I might get another one. And these are one of the only factory 5-lug Fox bodies, fun fact. So the Lincoln Mark 7, the SVO Mustang, and the SVT Cobra R were the only 5-lugs. Everything else, 4. Here you go, an S197 Mustang. So this is the start, this one's an 09. So this is the start of the Mustang looking more like the classic Mustangs again, right? Where they kind of branched away from it and with the Fox body. In case I'm pointing, there's another Fox body over there actually. That one's pretty stripped, although it's got decent seats, so maybe I grab those. Or at least they look decent from back here, but maybe they're not. But yeah, you know, S197. This was an automatic. You know, all that different stuff. These are pretty good sort of entry-level Mustang, to be honest. And even with the V6, because I think that's what this has. I don't think this is a V8. How many? 1, 2, yeah, that is only a 4-liter V6. Which are an okay engine, honestly. They're not bad. The Achilles heel of these motors, though, there's a timing chain, or there's 2 timing chains up front, and there's 2 timing chains in the rear. Now, the ones up front always get changed out. The ones in the rear almost never do, and these are an interference motor, so piston meet valve when those break. It's rather unfortunate. That's probably what happened in this one, because it's not awful. Like, it's got some rust and whatever else, but it's not that bad. Kind of sad. And here we have either a Pinto or a Pontiac, or not Pontiac, Mercury Bobcat. This is a Bobcat, okay. So it would have had slightly different taillights in it, would have had a different grille, all the different stuff, but this is just a Pinto that is tarted up a little bit, shall we say. Would have had a slightly up-trimmed interior and stuff like that, but this one, it's pretty far gone. It's kind of sad though, because although these had, they were synonymous for, actually, there was 2 bolts that protruded out, and when you got into a rear end collision with these things, those bolts would puncture the fuel tank and they would go boom. So that you'd see a lot of jokes about this sort of stuff, and you know, people like saying, hey, beware, I'll blow up, or you know, have a bunch of flames on the back and stuff like that. It's pretty funny, honestly, people's reaction to that back in the day. But yeah, this is the same thing, and it has the little 2.8 V6 under the hood. You know, these engines actually could be had in the 79 Mustang, but only for a couple months, to be honest, with the Fox body platform, because, well, these motors were not the greatest. Reliability wise, they were questionable, and there was a lot of demand for them in Europe. So they were a little better with higher octane fuels, and they have way better fuel in Europe than we do over here. So yeah, and look at that. Decent little mirror. That'd be kind of cool to put on like your rat rod or something like that. Just saying. That'd be neat. Alright, so I'm not seeing much else that really catches my eye to film, so I'm going to end the video. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. You know, you guys are absolutely incredible, and I appreciate all your love and support. But if you want to support me even more, there's a couple of links down in the description below. There's one for Flash Shark Racing. If you click on that and then use my code KAT15, you'll get 15% off your order, and it helps me a little bit as well if you do that. And then there's also Oxedo, which does amazing with LED lighting. Go down in the description below, use them as well, and use the same code, KAT15, all in caps for both of them, by the way, in the description below, because I was going to showcase this thing, but it's pretty gone. There's not much left of that Fox body there. So anyways, take care of yourselves, and stay safe, have fun, go work on that project car, come out to a junkyard, pull some parts for it, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.